The thing I just talked about was experimentation culture, because we're really proud of that. Shutterstock was in a very crowded market space, still are, but you know, we've now been growing 40% quarter over quarter for quite a while now, and no one else is. So we're doing something right, and I'd like to think it has a lot to do with our experimentation culture. Okay. We run a lot of tests, like everybody, lots of different departments are testing and growing the company all the time. And then we think, you know, a lot of our growth is owed to that. And I think that's helpful for both startups and for mid-sized companies. Okay. Soon to be 3 startups in it. We have SkillFeed, which is our new e-learning business. So if you want to learn the latest techniques in videography or photography, you can go and buy a subscription and learn. So that's a little startup inside our company. It's, you know, very small. It's only been out for 8 months. We also have Offset, another business we just launched. So we actually have a couple of these examples in the company. A/B testing in a scientific way is not something they do a lot, these startups. They do a lot of qualitative testing. A lot of testing with customers, doing one-on-one interviews, doing kind of different tests to see how you know, buying ads on Google converts on the pages. That's just something you can do even with small volumes, just to see how keywords work out. So there's lots of strategies for both startups and larger companies. But you are right in that you need a lot of volume in order to get the bug, in order to get really true A/B testing going. I think the best way I would frame it is there's different types of interviews. There's like ethnography, which is where you're trying to figure out what it is people desire, their wants and emotions. So you're studying what they do in their natural habitat and figuring out how your product fits. Then there's, would they read the homepage and convert, which is also a really good test. A buddy of mine did this user testing site where, you know, you flash the homepage to people and you can do it for 10 seconds, and then you ask people what they can remember. And for just a couple bucks, you can go to his website and you can do this, but we use this internally. So, you know, you can actually try a homepage of a new product that you haven't even built yet. And you can, you know, put it in front of 100 users and see if they recognize what it is and if they like it, if they'd use it. This is a qualitative type test instead of a quantitative one. And another example of something I would suggest for startups. So there's ethno in terms of understanding people's needs, and there's kind of flash tests to figure out if you've got your value proposition right or not. Those are 2 really good examples, I think. I think you gotta do it yourself. I think there's no replacing that. No. And as an investor, like, I like to invest, and I like to invest in companies where the founders are very close to the problem that they're solving. I always feel like I get a better return by looking at that. Only because that's the way I did it. So I started Beatport because I was a DJ and I couldn't find music anywhere. So we started a company for that. You know, with Shutterstock, John Oringer was, I think the original story was he was, because I wasn't around then, but the way he started is he had a business, I forget, some small software company he was trying to launch, and he was email testing. He was sending emails to people trying to get them to come buy his product, and he needed images for the emails. This was back in 2002. And, you know, he'd go to a website and an image would be like 500 bucks. And he's like, well, I need to run like 10 tests. I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars. I need like lots of images at a higher volume. I need like an image subscription. So he went out and solved the problem that he actually needed to solve. He was very close to it. So I feel like there's a lot of success when people are close to it. So to answer your question, you should do it yourself.
Definitely.
A couple things. Shutterstock we're really proud of our collection. A lot of different companies have tried to, over the years, control their collection in ways. You know, a lot of our competitors, this is only high-end imagery, and this is only low-end, and this is this. Shutterstock has a breadth. We're very proud of the breadth of our collection. And when we talk to customers, they say things like, wow, I can find anything on Shutterstock. It's very rare that, once they have a Shutterstock subscription, it's very rare that they need to go anywhere else. So a huge differentiator for us is the breadth of collection. Another one is search. We've invested heavily in search and discovery. We even have a labs area. You can go to shutterstock.com/labs, and we have all these like interesting search tools, because what we hear from customers is that they want to find a special image. In fact, sometimes I go to a customer and they've got like Google and Shutterstock, and they literally know, if they type in a query, what the first 5 pages look like on 5 different sites. And so they would say to us, I wish there was another way to explore imagery, maybe by color or a few different ways. So we created Spectrum to do by color search, and we created Instant to do instant search. So we differentiate well on search experience. Well, one of the important parts is to keep them autonomous as much as you can. So you want to give them help, but you don't want to meddle, because you know there's not much you can do to replace that us against the world vibe that a startup has. Because when they feel like we got to make it or else, you know, you hear all these stories from founders, including myself. I have some stories of like, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay people? Like, we're struggling. Like, that struggle usually generates a lot of great ideas and quick thinking. You want to generate that internally. So both of the startups we have right now are separate business lines. They have a P&L, they have a budget. Like, they can't just be over budget. Like, no, this is your P&L. Like, you have to run this like a business, and it creates that same vibe. They are co-located. Yeah. Like, not all of them. There's a few, and two of them are next to each other. They're very different businesses. Mm-hmm. Skillfeed and Offset couldn't be more different. Offset, if you're not familiar with it, is our kind of boutique art gallery business. You know, you've got $500 images from National Geographic photographers, very, very high-end. You know, the image you would see on a cover of a book, mm-hmm. or the front page of a magazine. Curated collection, hand-picked. You know, so it's a very boutique business. Where Skillfeed is like education for the masses. So they don't have a lot to share in terms of business model, but they have a lot to share in terms of startup struggles, I suppose. I mean, the most important thing for Shutterstock this year has been hiring top talent. I mean, there's nothing. We've learned how challenging it is, and we've learned how the people that you hired a year and a half ago maybe aren't the same people you need to hire today, because your company's gotten bigger. So now we're trying to funnel different types of hires to different things. We meet those fiery entrepreneurial guys, we put them on the new stuff. You know, we meet the really brilliant optimizers who know how to take a big business and like optimize it for growth. We put them in core. These are some of our most important lessons, is hiring, creating a culture, and figuring out how to get all these talented folks we find and get them in the right spot. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of secrets, but one of the ones I mentioned when I was talking in there, we have this experimentation culture. And what that means is just about anybody can run a test. That's a big secret. When people come in and interview, they know very quickly that their idea will probably see the light of day. Not like, oh, it's going to take months to build my thing and I have to go get, like, no. You have an idea, it's probably going to see the light of day very quickly at Shutterstock. And that's been a big thing. People can make a difference very quickly. Test whatever you want. Everybody test. Mm-hmm. All departments. Yeah, that's a secret for us. Okay. It attracts some of the best people who really want to make a difference. Mm-hmm. But again, we had to invest in that testing framework. You know, A/B testing structures and places, prototyping environments like labs. That upfront investment, now it's created an environment where people feel like they can try stuff without breaking our business.
Yeah, so you have created your own lab, your own software for it.
Yeah, we have labs that any product team can just build stuff and put it in. Mm-hmm. We have hackathons every quarter, so for a year, where people are coming up with ideas and pushing them to production. Mm-hmm. This is now part of the culture. Well, in 5 years, there's a couple big picture items we want to accomplish. One of the ones that's closest to my heart is image search. I fundamentally believe that image search is broken. You know the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words? Like, when people try to search for images, that's what they're doing. They're trying to make this beautiful thing in their head into words. That's broken. Like, that can't be the way we find images in 5 years. So we need to stop using text. We need to think, the thing that you're seeing in your brain, we need to do a better job of putting it on the screen in front of people without having to first translate it into words. I think that's a problem we want to solve in the next few years. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, plus translation. You know, we have an entire team that works on linguistics and doing all this great stuff for we have 20 different languages we support. But those are hard problems that don't go away. I mean, no one's really figured out how to do great translation. You use Google Translate and Bing Translate. I mean, it kind of works, but like, it's just an unsolved problem. So if we can just go right around translation by having visual communication to the search engine, I think we can, get somewhere. You see little pieces of it, right? You can imagine having your iPad and like, like drawing a tree and drawing the hills and drawing the sun, and then the search engine sees your drawing and goes, oh yeah, here. Because instead of having to make words into all that, maybe you could just kind of do it visually. Or you could, of course, image-to-image search is interesting. Of course, you still have to have the image first. So I think it's not going to solve it completely, but a lot of exciting stuff there. Boy, there's so many lessons. If you want just one,
what is most close to your heart?
Close to my heart is hiring is one of the most important things. You can't spend enough time on hiring. If you feel like you're wasting your time, you're not. Sometimes I spend 50% of my time hiring. That's talking to people and interviewing and going over our interview process, and when I meet great people, I really really say, look, this is a great opportunity you're missing out on. Selling, hiring, you can't spend enough time on it. It pays off big over the years. Even early, even if there's 3 of you and you're just hiring your 4th person, spend time on it.
Yeah,
that's probably number 1 for me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.